Hi everyone and welcome to Spiritist Things. I'm Steve and I'm here with my friend
Manny.
So we're doing a special Sunday edition. We're here alongside the cleaning crew at Broward Spiritist Society, so we hope you pardon our noise. And I don't want to tell the cleaning crew stop because we got to make a video. We're so important. We're the rock stars here.
They got to do their work too.
Yeah, so you might hear a little vacuum cleaning, but we're very grateful to the cleaning crew who comes here on a Sunday morning, cleans the whole center, and that's service there. And nobody ever sees them, so nobody ever gets a chance to really say thank you.
Right. It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
And we just come here and mess the place up and throw our water bottles everywhere. People come and drink like half of a water and leave the bottle. And I don't know, it's disgusting.
Savages.
So we're here today on a special edition. We're just going to have a little conversation off to the side. Thought I'd just ask you a few things. Like I remember when you first came to Broward Spiritist Society a little over 2 years ago. We were having the study group. And you came in. So I don't know, did you find us on Meetup?
It was on Meetup.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if people still use that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it or not. Only usually like the wackadoos show up from Meetup.
Yeah. Some people still do show up and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I saw it on Meetup." Because we have different things posted on Meetup. Meditation and study groups, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to ask you because I spoke to Juan yesterday. And so I asked Juan this question. I said, what kind of happened in your life? If, let's say the day that you walked in the Spiritist Center was 0 AD, what was Manny's BC? What sort of events sort of led to you? Did you witness phenomena in your life? Did you have questions? Or what kind of led you to you must have been looking for something when you found us on Meetup, right? So what kind of led you into that?
Yeah, so I guess, I had just reached a point in my life where it just felt like something was kind of missing. I mean, that's probably the best way to say it. And, I was in the routine of going to work every day and, paying your bills and, doing things like that. But there was just something that, it was just something missing. That's the best way that I can describe it. And I started exploring some things, and I went on Meetup, and I, went online and checked different things in my area that were going on, and tried some meditation, events, and even went to a Native American drum circle. Was my first experience with that, and kind of just went around and kind of just something was I guess I was longing for something spiritual in my life, and I came across the study group that you guys had posted here at the center, and it was an English study group. First time that I came to the center, I wasn't really sure what to expect, and Ana Lucia was actually the first person that I met, and I was like, "Hey, I'm here for the English study group," and she goes, "Oh yeah, it's down down the hall," and that's how it started. And I met you, Steve, for the first time. I met Cynthia and Juan. I think Scott might have been there too, and that was the first people that I actually met. I actually didn't meet Yonata and Luigi for weeks after I had been coming to the center. I didn't even know.
Thank God.
Yeah. If I would have met Luigi first, I probably never would have came back. Done.
Forget about it.
But yeah, it was good. It was an open conversation. We were studying what is Spiritism, and I can't really say that I was new to a lot of the ideas that they were proposing. It definitely answered a lot of the questions that I had. But as far as believing in things like reincarnation and believing in the spiritual world, I come from a Cuban background, and we don't necessarily talk about reincarnation per se, but as far as spirits go and mediumship, that's very strong in a lot of Cuban circles, Cuban culture. So that aspect of it really wasn't hard for me to accept. So it was just going from there and slowly, just slowly dipping your toes, further and your legs to further into the water, and just a big thing for me was taking responsibility for my actions and my life. I was kind of in a place, which was part of the reason why I was looking for something else in my life. I was kind of in a place where I was kind of blaming the world around me and not really taking responsibility, and kind of my situation wasn't that great financially and things of that nature. So just being responsible for yourself, responsible for your actions, not being a victim, and trying to grow in that respect was kind of how I kept coming to the center, and how I learned more about myself, more about possible future lives, and your responsibility to yourself and to the planet and those people around you.
I sort of came to Spiritism in the same kind of ideas that I had been to the Native American drum circles too, and not to judge anybody, what anybody does, but it's like the last time I went to one, and I don't know if it's a coincidence or what, it's like I happened to go to one, and like some of the people that I knew from there were like getting high outside of the drum circle, and that it's not like it shocked me like that much. It was just like, okay, like, is this really like a spiritual thing, or like, I don't know, like I'm just not that spiritual, I guess, I'm just like, this doesn't seem right, and it's not that I can judge, like, it's for what other people do. It's just I knew it was wrong for me, because I'm a pickle, and once you become a pickle, you can't be a cucumber again.
Not that sour.
Yeah, no, it's just an expression. But some of the people that I met, like I met great people when I was going to like the spiritual circles and things, and they really shared a lot of things with me, and they were really nice. But then sometimes I found like that because of some of the beliefs that they had, that they tended to not really do like the work on themselves on self-improvement, because sometimes they would say things like, I would witness like somebody would do something that, like, I mean, let me just say, like, not to be judgmental, but let me sort of judge that, like, they did something selfish, and then they would say like, no, that was perfect, it happened perfectly, like the way it was meant to happen, and blah blah blah, and it was just all perfect, like it's all perfection. And I'm like, no, you're selfish, and like, or they like gossiping, and I can only say that because like I was a gossiper too, I was there and I was doing it, so obviously I attracted these people in my life, but it's like I wanted something more, I just knew there was something like not right about gossiping, and they would do it all the time, because we would have like the meetings, we'd be all spiritual and meditative, and then we'd go out to eat afterwards, or have go out, and then we'd start just talking about everybody else and all their business and stuff, and I was just like, this just isn't right, and for me it's like I want to surround myself with people like obviously I'm saying like I deserve to be with those people, but I wanted to like aspire to surround myself with people who don't gossip, and I've almost found people like that.
Yeah, it's funny about gossip, because I mean you always find yourself talking about other people, like it's just inevitable, like you're always going to do it. Mm-hmm. And what I've come to realize is that your intention and the way you talk about someone and their situation means more than just the whole thought of just talking about that person, because you can talk about someone else and it can be a positive, constructive, conversation without those people being there. Mm-hmm. But whenever you start, throwing shade, and you start, talking bad about someone, saying, oh, they're either going around here and doing this, and like, talking about them in a bad light, and that's when it falls into the negative side of what gossiping is. And I've struggled with this in my life too, and especially at work and things like that. It's very easy to gossip about someone. Mostly it's to make yourself look better. Is what I would say. Mm-hmm. When you kind of paint someone in a negative light, it's almost like saying that you're superior to that person. Mm-hmm. So and you're not doing what that person is doing, but. Those kinds of conversations, if you take them in a positive light, if you take them, as a constructive criticism, they can be a learning experience. Because people aren't always in a bad situation, and it's kind of hard to talk about, people's, what they're going through, if they're going through bad times, but talking about that isn't necessarily gossip. It can be, a valuable learning experience.
Mm-hmm. I think it even says it, I don't know if it's in the Spirits book. One of the questions they ask about, is it okay to look at other people's lives and to make sort of judgments if it's for our own self-improvement, and they say, oh yeah, of course, like you need to study like what you're doing and what other people are doing and see what's working and see what's not working. And not that we're going to condemn anybody, you know, we're not going to like kick them out. Like obviously we're not kicking anybody out of the Spiritist Center, you know, but it's like, okay, if I see somebody, you know, doing something that like, and it's not right, it's like we want the best for everybody. And I'm just gonna like make sure like I don't do the same thing that they did, you know. But like we're not. That's why it's a really like sort of fine line between what's like being judgmental and what's being, you know, constructively critical.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, and it's like you said, like it's a fine line, and it's not necessarily that you're judging them. I guess maybe in a way you are, but it's not like you're condemning them. It's because I mean obviously you see people out there doing certain things that you don't necessarily agree with. Now, in that person's life, at that moment, you know, that drama needs to play out. You know, they have to go through these things to learn. It's not necessarily an evil or a good thing, but you know, you can see something and you can say, well, you know, I'm past that. You know, I think that you know, and you're also working with your own, rehabilitation, your own learning process, your own growth, and you go through things too. You know. And you know, we're not always, you know, we try to better ourselves, but you know, there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be speed bumps, and you're always going to be questioning, you know, your actions. Like they say, you know, don't compare yourself to others, but I mean, you're constantly doing that. I mean, it's for me, I think it's inevitable. There's always a better version of yourself that you're striving to be, and you should be. And if you don't think that, then you might want to question that about yourself.
And that's what really like attracted me when I came to the Spiritist Center, was that I saw, you know, I didn't know what Allan Kardec really was or the Spirit's book or anything like when I came to my first meeting, but it's like I just saw like this is underneath like the conversations we're having, this is actually like a program for self-improvement. You know, we're all talking about evolving and becoming better people. And so that's why I was like, I think I'm surrounding myself with some good people finally. You know, not that people here are like far from perfect. It's like this place. People describe the Spiritist Center as an educational institution and a hospital. Yeah. So it's like, so we don't come here like expecting people to be perfect, you know, but we do like hope people are working on it and moving in that direction, moving towards the light. You know, all the time. Yeah,
and so you know, people are just, you know, different individuals. They come from different backgrounds. They have different personalities. An important thing to remember is like try not to take things so personally.
Well, you know, and Antonio Ferreira also, like, he gave that lecture about the 4 agreements, and that's not a Spiritist book per se. Not. It's I think it's a Toltec book if I'm correct. But Don Miguel Ruiz, but he. The 4 agreements is like a great, you know, it's great like wisdom to live your life by. Like, you know, be impeccable with your word and don't take things personally is one of the main things, you know. And it's like one day he gave that speech, because I actually heard him give it a couple of times at different centers where I saw him give the lecture, and he gave that lecture, and then the next day I was at work and I got to like apply that, you know, that lesson in my job, you know, with my coworkers, because somebody was like going crazy and making everybody miserable around, and I'm sitting there just trying to like think like, don't take it personally. And then my other coworker comes up, he's like, how do you handle this stuff like so well? And I'm like, dude, just don't take it personally. You know? Yeah. And I'm like, it's not like I have it. I'm like sitting there like working on it. I'm like praying and like, oh, you know, I'm like really like struggling with it, because it's tough. It's tough to be in a toxic environment and like stay zen. You know?
And it's funny because like we're always going to be in situations like that, and whenever you start to acknowledge things like that, like, you know, I can't take everything so personally. I have to, you know, try and choose my words better. And you start making progress along those lines, you still come across, you know, difficult situations, and then it's like, well, I'm trying to change myself and make myself better, but now this person is now, you know, he's affecting my zen, so to speak, and then it's like, well, then you get even more, like, I see myself sometimes getting even more angry, because it's like,
well, you know, because if you talk to people, like, I don't want to say any names, like Yanara, she'll tell you like, well, you can't let other people, like, nobody else can make you feel anything. You can't, like, you know, we're not victims of other people. So my coworker is going crazy. He can't actually make me angry. It's like I get angry because I'm want to get angry, or I can't help myself, or whatever. It's like I just have no self-control, and that makes me so mad. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's like no, well, but it's tough. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to put into practice, and it's tough because I can't really say like that I have it. It's just like things have gotten better for me, like in the last few years, like by practicing this. But it's not like I'm one of those like Tony Robbins, like wake up every day motivated, like with sunshine coming out of me and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm far from that, but
yeah, and it can be difficult too. This whole process, because the more that you question these things, and the more that you kind of like the 4 agreements, choosing your words more carefully, and trying to be more positive. Not taking things personally, you kind of see the situations around you and the people around you that maybe might not be a good influence, and then it's kind of like you don't really like jive with that person anymore. It's like it's not an intentional thing. Like you're still friends with that person, you still talk to that person, but it's like the interests and the common aspects start to slowly kind of like go like fall away from each other, or like move away from each other. Then it's kind of like I just don't really have as much in common with you as I used to, and it becomes awkward sometimes with your friends and family.
My friend told me one time, I was really upset because I had a really good friend, and this girl I was really close friends with, and then all of a sudden like she just didn't want to talk to me anymore, and I was like really struggling with it because it just hurt my feelings. My friend told me, he said, people come into our lives for a reason and for a season. And like, so she was there for a certain reason, for me and for her, and then like, then the season passed, and then and then now it's done, and then like we're still friends on Facebook or whatever, but there's no like bad blood or anything. It's just like I kind of understand, like now it's years later, I understand the situation a lot better, and it's nobody's fault. It's just like and that's just one of many like friendships that kind of like blossom, and then the season passes, and then people move in different directions, and it's like life changes and life goes on, and it's kind of a cool, amazing, perfectly normal, natural thing.
Absolutely, yeah, no, and that's totally true. And then also I've noticed there's been a couple of friends that I've recently got back in touch with that I knew from years ago that I haven't talked to, and from where we were back then, kind of sharing the same kind of interests and stuff like that. And where we are now, we're kind of going through the same things now. Like people, they're asking the same kind of questions, and it's interesting too. It's like, well, I believe in reincarnation, and I believe in things like that, and then you can have these kind of, these new conversations. I would say more meaningful conversations, because it deals with, not only your responsibility of this life and what you can accomplish, but also, preparing for the future.
Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to ask you, like, because I always talk about it all the time, how much like my life has changed because of like sort of practicing the principles of Spiritism. Have you noticed anything, like your interactions with people at work, or with your family members, or with your friends, outside of the center? Have you noticed any change in like your relationships, or your attitudes, actions, and behaviors?
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of it has to do with kind of accepting your own, your own quirks and your own personality, your own flaws, and seeing how interactions with the people around you and your family members kind of like, change the way you act, or affect the way you act. So paying attention to those has been, really an important thing of my learning experience. But yeah, as far as relationships, like whenever you start to open up your mind to like new things and new ideas, you're kind of, it's not just like Spiritism per se. It's also, you're getting, like for me, I do a lot of other research. Like I watch a lot of psychologists, especially on YouTube, and I watch a lot of like other videos and like, just things like that, just kind of expanding and like taking responsibility, like and being responsible for your life and your actions. That is, an important Spiritist teaching, but a lot of psychologists and, other, like people will say that it's really important too, not taking things personally. So what I've noticed is that as I've chosen my words more carefully, my relationships with people have changed, and they kind of see me a little bit more serious now. Before, I used to just be like, really passive, and you know, things would happen, and I really wouldn't care, even though inside it might matter, but I wouldn't say anything about it. But now I'm kind of like speaking up more about it and kind of saying things, and people are like, oh, well, you know, you have an opinion now, and it's like, it's like, yeah,
That's so cute. Yeah.
right, and it's like, oh, that's totally not like you, and it's like, well, you know, these are things that, you know, I have felt like saying before, but never really had like the courage, or like, you know, the need, maybe not the need to, but like the courage to, or the confidence to.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think like it's like when you, it's a weird thing because it's like you said, like it's psychology or whatever you're studying. Like I was studying like Tai Chi and like Chinese philosophy and stuff before I came to Spiritism, and I haven't had to give any of that up. And like a lot of that stuff like really still like is with me, like some of the practices. But it's also like now I have a new light with it, like with the ideas about reincarnation and the, you know, the idea of immortality, you know, that really like just reframe everything and put a new focus on like, what do I really want out of life, and like, what am I here to do, and why am I doing it, you know? Like when I was I was talking to somebody this morning, and I said I like when I was really into Tai Chi and practicing like sort of not exactly Buddhism, but you know, they call it Buddhism light. You know, I'm not religious, but I just like to meditate and do that kind of stuff. And we always talk about strive for non-striving, or don't have the attachment to doing things. So it's not like I need to have a full schedule in my day just because I'm afraid to be alone, and I'm afraid to like sit there and have nothing to do.
Is this
like,
part of the Tale of Steve thing?
The Tao of Steve.
The Tao of Steve.
Yeah, it's not. Well, this is different, but
All right.
This is my Tao. Yeah.
All right. What does Tao mean again?
The way.
The way.
Yeah, the Tao Te Ching is an ancient Chinese book about, you know, the way of morality, basically, and a lot of wisdom. It's really hard to understand because it was written in like old Chinese. So even like people who speak Mandarin Chinese now, it's really hard to understand it. So it's like, of course I had to like decide to be a Taoist. It's like a ancient religion that doesn't make any sense, you know. Might as well just say I'm a Jedi or something, you know. which is actually closer to the truth.
Yeah, it could work.
Yeah. But you know, they have this thing about non-doing, and so for a long time I would just make sure my schedule was like clear, like all the time, because I'm like, I don't have to do anything, you know. But now it's like I have so many things to do, like with the Spiritism and like making videos, and then like people call me, and it's like I don't like to say no, I like to say yes, like that Jim Carrey movie, you know, just say yes.
Yes, man.
Yes, man. and it's like, and I like that, but it's like, okay, like now, like today in particular, like I'm extremely busy, but it's not because like I need to be busy, it's because it's like I just want like to do like all these things that like really like feed my spirit, kind of, you know. So it's an interesting turnaround for me.
Yeah, no, and those interactions, those things, like it does feed you, you know, it does give you energy.
I appreciate you coming here today to talk to me, and
Yeah, thanks for having me.
our special little edition of Spiritist Things, formerly Beyond the Veil or Behind the Wall or whatever we call it.
Off the wall.
By any other name, whatever. We're on Discover Spiritism Network. Check us out. If you like the video, share it with your friends. If you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, any comments, leave them on the YouTube, and we always actually check the comments, and we love to hear from the audience. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.